Indian Wells has never seen anything like this. Welcome, everyone, to one of the most unexpected, electrifying, and culturally significant moments in recent tennis history. What is unfolding right now in the California desert has tournament organizers, veteran analysts, and global fans completely stunned. Indian Wells, a tournament widely respected and affectionately known as the Fifth Grand Slam, is experiencing a seismic shift in its atmosphere, its demographics, and its energy. And the cause of it all is a young, phenomenally talented woman from the Philippines. Thousands upon thousands of Alexandra Eala fans have descended upon the Coachella Valley, filling the grounds and threatening to turn one of America's most prestigious tennis events into a home game for a Southeast Asian sensation. To fully appreciate the magnitude of what is happening today, you need to understand what Indian Wells has traditionally been. This tournament has always attracted a specific kind of crowd, subdued, refined, and deeply respectful of the sport's traditions. It is a haven for purists who sit quietly beneath the desert sun, offering measured applause for brilliant shot-making. The atmosphere has always been elegant, controlled, and characteristically understated. Today is something else entirely. Reports are flooding in of miles-long backups on Interstate 10, not the usual stream of desert weekenders, but caravans decorated with the brilliant blue, red, white, and yellow of the Philippine flag. The stadium grounds are transforming into a vibrant, roaring sea of national pride, the kind of atmosphere more commonly associated with Davis Cup finals or the peak moments of international football, not a WTA Tour event in the middle of the American desert. This is not just a crowd. This is a movement. The massive Filipino-American community, which has deep and sprawling roots throughout Southern California from Los Angeles to San Diego, has mobilized in a way the tennis world has never witnessed before. Tickets have been purchased at a record-shattering pace, overwhelming secondary markets and causing a genuine frenzy at the box office. The energy building around this tournament is unlike anything Indian Wells has ever produced. For those just tuning in and asking themselves how this happened, how a WTA event in the desert became the most talked-about sporting gathering in the country, the answer begins with understanding exactly who Alexandra Eala is, where she came from, and what she means to an entire nation watching from the other side of the world. Who is Alexandra Eala? Alexandra Eala is not simply a tennis prospect. She is a trailblazer carrying the sporting hopes of more than 100 million people. Born in Quezon City, she embarked on a journey that very few players from her region have ever dared to attempt. She left home at a young age to develop her game thousands of miles away at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, an environment built for the serious, the disciplined, and the genuinely exceptional. There, she became the first Filipino player in history to win a junior Grand Slam singles title, a landmark achievement she secured at the US Open. But junior success is no guarantee of professional stardom. The transition from the junior circuit to the women's tour is notoriously brutal, and it breaks talented players with far more resources and support than Eala ever had. She navigated that transition anyway, quietly, methodically, and with a determination that rarely announced itself but never wavered. She fought through lower-tier ITF events in obscure locations, in front of sparse crowds or no crowd at all, accumulating the ranking points necessary to earn her place at the sport's highest level, one hard-won match at a time. She is no longer playing on the outer courts. She is the main event. The shock rippling through the Indian Wells establishment is visible and palpable. Tournament directors and security personnel are scrambling to adapt to conditions they simply did not plan for. Practice courts are mobbed to capacity with fans trying to catch a glimpse of her warming up. Merchandise vendors are selling out. The traditional quiet murmur of the tennis garden has been replaced by rhythmic chanting, the beat of drums, and an outpouring of sheer collective joy that echoes off the mountains surrounding the desert complex. This level of fanaticism is extraordinarily rare in tennis. We have seen flashes of it with the rise of Naomi Osaka, and in the legendary crowd energy generated by certain Davis Cup rivalries. But what the Filipino fanbase is producing for Alexandra Eala feels categorically different. It is deeply personal. It is the culmination of years, decades even, of watching one of their own sacrifice everything, struggle in silence, and ultimately force her way into a sport that has historically been the exclusive province of Europeans and Americans. What we are witnessing on the surface is staggering enough. But it is merely the visible layer of a far deeper and more complex story. About the globalization of sport, about the extraordinary power of diaspora communities to reshape the culture of events they choose to claim, and about the undeniable, irresistible talent of a young woman who is quietly and methodically preparing to turn the tennis establishment completely upside down. Now let us go deeper. Let us examine the anatomy of this moment, technically, culturally, and historically, and understand exactly what Alexandra Eala is building, and why the tennis world should have seen this coming long before today. Here is the rewritten and polished continuation. The anatomy of her game. To understand how Alexandra Eala commands this level of attention, you have to start by dissecting what she actually does on a tennis court, because her game is a fascinating combination of classic grit and modern power, built for exactly this kind of stage. She is left-handed, which immediately grants her a distinct tactical advantage throughout the tour. The left-handed serve tails naturally away from a right-handed opponent's backhand on the ad side, and Eala has refined that weapon with meticulous precision. But the serve is only the beginning. The foundation of her game is the brutal, heavy topspin she generates on her forehand. Having trained under the coaches at the Rafa Nadal Academy and received guidance from the legendary Spaniard himself, the stylistic inheritance is impossible to ignore. Her forehand kicks off the court with a vicious bite, pushing opponents deep behind the baseline and forcing them to construct rallies entirely on her terms. She does not just hit the ball hard, she changes its geometry, making the court feel smaller and more hostile for anyone standing on the other side of the net. What makes her genuinely dangerous, however, is what she pairs that forehand with. Unlike players who rely exclusively on heavy spin, Eala possesses an exceptionally flat, penetrating two-handed backhand. This is her sword. It allows her to redirect the ball down the line with stunning pace and precision, punishing any opponent who leaves even a fraction of the court exposed. The combination of a high-kicking Spanish-style forehand and a flat, aggressive backhand creates a player who can adapt fluidly to different surfaces, different opponents, and different tactical situations. Indian Wells, as it happens, is a tournament practically engineered for her style. The courts here are notably slow, high-bouncing hard courts. The surface grips the ball and amplifies topspin, causing it to leap well above an opponent's optimal strike zone. The dry desert air, meanwhile, allows the ball to travel faster through it, adding extra penetration to her already aggressive shot-making. It is a near-perfect convergence of environmental conditions meeting a perfectly calibrated skill set. She did not just arrive at Indian Wells. In many ways, Indian Wells was waiting for her. The mental architecture of a champion. Physical tools, however, are only half the equation at the professional level. The mental demands of stepping onto a stadium court, knowing that thousands of people have traveled specifically to witness you, to carry the weight of an entire nation's hope on your shoulders, represent a burden that has broken far more celebrated prodigies than Alexandra Eala. What makes her so utterly compelling to watch is her composure between the lines. She plays with a veteran's stillness. When she faces a break point in a tense third set, she does not rush. She does not visibly tighten. She moves through her routines with deliberate, unhurried precision, bouncing the ball, resetting her breathing, executing her game plan as though the crowd, the occasion, and the stakes are all simply background noise she learned long ago to tune out. That mental toughness was not given to her. It was forged, quietly and without recognition, across years of facing pressure that had no audience, no safety net, and no guarantee of any reward at the end of it. It is the same composure that sustained her through 7 years of solitary work in Mallorca. The same internal architecture that kept her grinding through ITF events in empty venues when the tennis world had no idea who she was. She has been carrying weight her entire career. The difference now is that the whole world can finally see it. Forged by national expectation, this composure did not emerge from nowhere. It was shaped by a specific and relentless pressure that began when she was still a child. When you are publicly heralded as the future of your country's sporting legacy at 14 years old, you are forced to mature at a pace most young athletes never experience. Every junior match Eala played was scrutinized by national media back home. Every victory was received in the Philippines like a national celebration. Every defeat was dissected and analyzed with an intensity that would destabilize most adults, let alone teenagers. She has been tempered in the fire of collective national expectation from an age when most young players are still simply learning to love the game. What that means practically is this. The roaring, overwhelming crowd at Indian Wells is not a distraction for Alexandra Eala. It is fuel. She has been playing in front of a nation her entire career. The stadium is simply the first time that nation has been able to show up in person. Where she fits in the WTA landscape to fully appreciate the threat she poses, you also need to understand the current state of the WTA Tour and exactly where Eala fits within it. The women's game is in a genuinely fascinating transitional phase. At the very top, established forces continue to dominate. Iga Swiatek, whose movement and relentless heavy topspin make her nearly untouchable on clay. Power players like Aryna Sabalenka and Elena Rybakina, who can dismantle opponents through sheer serving force and flat aggression. The top tier remains formidable and largely settled. But immediately beneath it, the tour is volatile, unpredictable, and full of opportunity for young, hungry players with the right combination of talent and nerve to break through. That space is precisely where Eala is operating, and she represents a uniquely difficult puzzle for any opponent asked to solve her. She is not a one-dimensional ball striker. She is not a purely defensive counterpuncher. She is a tactical chameleon. She can grind from the baseline when the moment demands it, looping heavy balls deep into the corners to neutralize power hitters and extend rallies on her own terms. But she is equally capable of stepping inside the baseline and taking the ball early, compressing time and denying opponents the space they need to build their game. That combination, the ability to both absorb and attack, to shift gears within a single rally, makes her exceptionally difficult to prepare for and even harder to read mid-match. That versatility will be tested severely at Indian Wells. The draw is packed with top-tier talent from the earliest rounds, and for Eala to make a deep run, she will need to navigate a minefield of experienced veterans and dangerous fellow rising players without a single comfortable match along the way. The crowd is a weapon, but consider what she is bringing into that minefield that her opponents are not. Tennis is an isolating sport at its core. When you step onto the court, you are entirely alone, with your game plan, your doubts, your physical fatigue, and an opponent working methodically to dismantle all three. When momentum shifts against you in a tight match, the silence of a neutral stadium can feel suffocating. The absence of support becomes its own kind of pressure. Now imagine playing against Alexandra Eala in this particular environment. Every unforced error her opponent makes is met with an eruption from thousands of voices. Every winner Eala strikes sends a wall of sound crashing across the desert complex. Every close line call, every pivotal point, every moment of tension in a changeover is amplified by a crowd that is not merely supportive. It is ferociously, personally invested in every single point. The psychological weight of competing against that environment, in addition to competing against Eala herself, is a burden no opponent in this draw anticipated when the schedule was set. She does not just bring her game to Indian Wells. She brings an entire nation with her. And right now that nation is loud, it is present, and it is not going anywhere. Here is the rewritten and polished continuation. The crowd is a living, breathing force. What the Filipino-American community has created inside the Indian Wells Tennis Garden is not passive spectatorship. It is active participation. We have seen crowds pull players back from the brink of defeat before, injecting them with a sudden surge of adrenaline when their legs are heavy and their lungs are burning. That is what this crowd is doing for Eala in real time. And for whoever stands across the net from her, it is something closer to a psychological hazard than a sporting atmosphere. The business of a breakthrough, the economic and cultural implications of this moment cannot be overstated. The WTA and the ATP have spent years searching for ways to expand their global footprint, to penetrate new markets and attract new generations of fans to a sport that has historically struggled to shed its reputation as a game for the privileged few. Asia has long been the primary target of that expansion. China and Japan have successfully produced Grand Slam champions and hosted major tournaments. But Southeast Asia has remained largely untapped, an enormous sports-obsessed demographic that the tennis establishment has never quite found a way to reach. Alexandra Eala may be the key that unlocks all of it. The Philippines is a country that rallies behind its athletes with a totality that is difficult to fully convey to those who have not witnessed it. Boxing legend Manny Pacquiao brought the nation to a literal standstill every time he fought. Traffic disappeared from the streets. Crime rates dropped measurably. The entire country collectively held its breath for the duration of every bout. Eala is beginning to command that precise category of devotion, and she is doing it in a sport that has never before inspired it in this part of the world. For Indian Wells specifically, this moment is a golden opportunity. The sudden influx of thousands of passionate, spending fans translates directly into substantial revenue through ticket sales, merchandise, and concessions. But the more significant return is in prestige and global visibility. The images coming out of this tournament, thousands of Filipino fans waving flags, singing together, and completely transforming the character of the tennis garden, are being broadcast worldwide. They send an unmistakable message. Tennis is not a country club sport preserved for a narrow demographic. It is a genuinely global game, capable of inspiring the kind of deep, grassroots, communal passion that most sports can only dream of generating. Sponsors and brands are paying very close attention. The marketability of a young, articulate, fiercely supported, and supremely talented player like Eala is extraordinary. She bridges Western sporting tradition and Eastern cultural pride in a way that is entirely authentic and impossible to manufacture. She is every brand ambassador's ideal, not because she was constructed that way, but because she simply is that way. What this means back home, the ripple effects of this moment extend far beyond California. For decades, young athletes across the Philippines and Southeast Asia have gravitated toward basketball, boxing, and badminton, largely because tennis is an expensive sport that demands significant infrastructure, equipment costs, court access, and the financial resources to fund international travel for competition. Those barriers have kept countless talented children from ever picking up a racket. Visibility, however, changes the entire equation. When a young girl in Manila or Cebu watches Alexandra Eala walk onto a stadium court in California and is greeted by the roaring adoration of thousands of her own people, something shifts. A seed is planted. The dream becomes concrete and visible rather than abstract and distant. It validates every parent who has ever scraped together money to buy their child a pair of tennis shoes and dared to believe it might lead somewhere. Eala's success will almost certainly trigger a measurable surge in tennis participation across the Philippines. More investment in public courts will follow. More funding will flow into development programs. And a new generation of young players will grow up trying to replicate her heavy topspin forehand and her unyielding competitive spirit, because they watched her do it, and they understood for the first time that someone from where they are from can go where she has gone. The team behind the player, it would be incomplete to tell this story without acknowledging the people who made it possible. The journey of a professional tennis player is never truly a solo endeavor, regardless of how solitary the sport appears from the outside. Behind every player on tour is a dedicated network of coaches, physiotherapists, nutritionists, and, most fundamentally, family. The sacrifices made by the Eala family to support Alexandra's path have been profound. Managing the intense pressures of elite junior tennis, navigating the financial demands of international competition, and ultimately making the deeply difficult decision to send their daughter to the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca required a level of faith, vision, and collective courage that deserves to be acknowledged plainly. This moment at Indian Wells, with thousands of her compatriots surrounding her, is a validation of every one of those difficult choices. It is not her victory alone. It is a shared one. The Academy itself deserves equal credit. They recognized something in Eala when she arrived that the broader tennis world had not yet seen, and they provided the elite, demanding, world-class environment necessary to refine it. They did not simply teach her how to hit a tennis ball with more precision and power. They taught her how to be a professional, how to manage her body across a long season, how to handle pressure, and how to cultivate the relentless champion's mindset that has become her most defining characteristic. The complete picture when you bring it all together. The playing style perfectly calibrated for desert conditions, the extraordinary mental resilience forged under years of national scrutiny, the unprecedented mobilization of an entire diaspora community, and the profound cultural weight her success carries for a region the sport has long overlooked, what you are left with is a narrative of rare and genuine power. This is not a feel-good storyline manufactured for broadcast. This is something real, something earned, and something that the tennis world is only just beginning to fully understand. Alexandra Eala has arrived. And nothing about this tournament, or this sport, will look quite the same after today. The beginning of something permanent. This is no longer simply a story about a tennis tournament. It is a story about representation, about the global village, about a young woman stepping fearlessly and fully into her destiny on one of sport's most prestigious stages, and bringing an entire nation with her through the gates. The shockwaves reverberating through Indian Wells right now are only the beginning. The tennis establishment has been put on notice. A new force has arrived, and she did not arrive quietly. Every match she plays here over the coming days will be more than a tennis match. It will be an event, sport and culture colliding in the most vivid and authentic way imaginable. The atmosphere in the Coachella Valley has been permanently altered. The thousands of Eala fans who transformed Indian Wells into a roaring sea of national pride have demonstrated something the sport needed to see. That tennis is capable of evoking a raw, communal, deeply personal passion that cuts straight through borders, traditions, and the sport's long-established cultural boundaries. And here is the truth of this moment that exists entirely apart from results. Whether Alexandra Eala wins this tournament, makes a deep run to the quarterfinals, or falls to a seasoned veteran in an early round, the victory has already been secured. She has commanded the attention of the entire tennis world. She has shown the establishment the scale and the fierce, unwavering loyalty of the Southeast Asian market in a way that no presentation, no proposal, and no commercial pitch ever could. She showed up. Her people showed up. And no one inside this sport will forget what that looked like. For everyone watching at home, whether you have followed tennis your entire life or this is the first match you have ever paid attention to, this is the moment to be present. You are watching the birth of a global superstar in real time. You are watching a young woman carry the hopes of more than 100 million people with grace, controlled power, and a competitive fire that has been burning quietly and patiently for years, waiting for exactly this stage. The courts of Indian Wells will forever carry the memory of the day the Filipino fans arrived and changed the heartbeat of this tournament for good. We will be here for every crushing forehand, every pivotal breakpoint, and every wave of sound that rolls across the desert from a crowd that traveled thousands of miles to be exactly where they are. This is Alexandra Eala's moment. And it is only just beginning.